Welcome Capricorn. This one's for you. This is Tarot Lumination with your love and relationship report for November 2017. You know the drill. The convention is watch for your sun, moon, and rising. Make the best of it. Reinterpret and retell the story to suit yourself. And I hope you get a lot out of it, as much as you can. We're not doing any jumpers, flyers, oracles, no reversals, none of that. Keeping it very, very simple. And we're shuffling to the last second so that you're a witness. We're going to use this, what I call crucible spread. It's on the understanding that there's you, there's a chosen one, and then there's the relationship itself. And in a healthy relationship, you conduct everything through the relationship and invest in the relationship. And then the relationship takes care of you. You take care of the relationship. The relationship takes care of you. You invest. Okay, here we go. Let's have a look. Excuse me, sorry. Frog in the throat. Oops. Okay, that's good. I'm going to cut and then just go for it, all right? All right, just hang in, Capricorn. Hope you're having a super start to the month and make the best of this month, all right? Things are going to be changing a lot for you starting 2018, and you're going to feel it right at the end of the December, okay? So I'm just giving you some heads up. This would be your energy, okay? This would be the energy of a chosen one, significant other, loved one, mate, partner. This is going deep into you, all right? Capricorn, this is going deep into your other. This is the relationship itself, and this is kind of the momentum of the relationship. Under here, we're going to look at the bottom card. I like to think of it as the weather, circumstantial energy. It's not necessarily yours, it's just out there, just like the weather. And like anyone else who's conscious and smart, you're going to make the best of it. You're not going to let the weather own you. Okay. Let's have a look. You got the world. Okay. So it might feel as though you're in a kind of a like a life-changing chapter right now. You know, when you, let's say you're watching a TV series or something like that, and you've gone through the whole of season 1, and that's over, but you already know that season 2 and season 3 is out there. All I'm suggesting here is that with the world card, it can feel as though everything is exactly as it should be. Everything that's come up to the point of where it is right now is exactly how it should be. All the shadow stuff, everything that could possibly go wrong that went wrong, everything that's awesome that went awesome, and that's just great. That's how it should be. But that's the end of the that season, and we're moving on to season 2. Okay, that's all I'm feeling here. Okay, no spoilers about what's happening for season 2. We're just going to go for it. Let's have a look at you. Okay, so this to me feels like with the Four of Pentacles, it's like you have every intention to build solid foundations and create order and structure and power and kind of lock it down, perhaps in ways that you haven't done before. Maybe there were things in, let's say, season 1 of Capricorn that you learned along the way that needed improvement. And now this time on season 1, we're going to improve that. We're going to build stability, build greater stability for the long term, hold on to what we already know that works, and gently like move away from, like, let's just call it a business model of relationship, business model of the way of conducting a relationship. Things that don't work, it's gone, it's history. We're just going to start from scratch and focus on what does work, and use that as the the foundations for the future. It could also indicate, of course, here, Capricorn, I don't want to stress that too much, but kind of holding on to what you got. And if you feel that things are a little bit wobbly, if you feel that your foundations of yourself are in question here, not necessarily the significant other or the relationship itself, but your own self, where you're feeling like maybe because you've been under the pressure for so long with Pluto and Capricorn, and you might be feeling it in your system now with Saturn moving into Capricorn at the end of the year, and then going on for about 3 years in Capricorn. You might be feeling already, like at a very, very deep core level, how the foundations of your life are going to be shifting and changing quite a lot over the next 3 years. So that could be part of this too. Let's have a look at the significant other. Okay, wow. Dun, 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 dun. So I don't want to say wedding bells exactly. I don't want to make this too corny or anything, but you might be relating with a significant other who totally gets you, who totally understands your approach, being like the business person that you are, Capricorn. You're very, very good at reality. A good, healthy Capricorn has a firm grip on reality and understands how, like the mechanics of life, what works and what doesn't work. And you don't put a lot of time and energy investing in things that don't work. You don't Capricorn is about, love is as love does. A Capricorn in the classical sense would say, instead of saying, oh, my dearest darling, I love you so, so much, blah, 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 blah. It's more like, honey, um, I just got you a new smartphone account. Okay. Or here's like one of those cash gift cards. Here's a $500 gift card. And they just leave it on the counter with a little heart, put on the envelope. That's how the Capricorn would say, I love you. They're not going to necessarily run around writing poetry all day about that kind of stuff. But they kind of do things that work, that everybody understands. And you might be, Capricorn, relating with someone who totally gets it and thinks, that's kind of cool. That's where it works. Like your chosen one, Capricorn, might be thinking like, this works well enough where I'd be willing to lock it down. I kind of dig you. I like the way you are. Let's lock it down. This would be someone who actually appreciates you, Capricorn, for who you are, the way you do things, how you are, your kind of being, to the point where they would want to make that formal. For example, if you're seriously dating right now, Capricorn, and you're just focusing on business and taking care of business, you might be relating with a significant other who's thinking, well, let's take it to the next level. Have you ever sort of popped the question, honey? Like, dear Capricorn, we've got this awesome thing potentially that's going on, and I just thought, I'm just kind of dropping hints that I'm kind of ripe and ready, and you're kind of all wrapped up in, the business matters of taking care of business of the relationship. But they're thinking like, we should lock this down. Let's make it, let's formalize it, put a ring on it. So, interesting. All right, let's have a look deep inside of you. All right. Whoa. Okay. You know what I felt right now for you, Capricorn, is that part of you kind of wants to go off on a bit of a magic carpet ride for yourself, where it's like let's just say you totally get what's going on here. You see the end of one life chapter and you are preparing for a new life chapter. You're relating to someone over here who totally digs it, totally gets it, and can see like a glimpse of season 2 Capricorn unfolding, and they like it and they want to get on with that. And you might have been a classic Capricorn for so long where it's almost like, I wish I could just, take off the Capricorn hat every now and again and just go totally loopy and just sit on a beach somewhere and do all those maybe things that you might have neglected for a long time, Capricorn, because Capricorns, you tend to like to take care of reality, where you can neglect like the dreamy, more spiritual aspects of life. But it might be that you're in, like in this November period right now, where deep down you might be feeling like, how can I tap into that more, let's say, spiritual side of the self? Because you might be feeling like you've neglected it for so long. And like if you do that for too long, you can become very, let's say, what's the word? Calcified, ossified. When they have those, I can't think of the word. Fossilized. That's what I was trying to think of. Beautiful. It's wonderful stuff, but something inside of you might be dreaming of let's say, new visions unfolding. And maybe that's part of this. Maybe you, Capricorn, are like really hunkered down, seeing like season 2 coming up, figuring out what to do, how to do it so that it works for the long term, holding it on together, but deep inside, wishing you could, like, maybe, like we said, take off the Capricorn hat for a bit and let yourself go a little bit wild, go into dreamland a bit more, and tap into things that you've never ever kind of dared to do before in a relationship, especially a love relationship. Like, it's almost like Capricorn says, okay, let's put a ring on it. Let's do this properly. But you know what I really, really want to do? I want to go to one of those fantasy island vacation weird trip things. And your loved one over here says, um, okay, Capricorn, I've never seen you behave like that, but now you mention it, that could be kind of fun. Like, well, we do need fun. We don't have to be like the ultimate, like, solid, like, country club Capricorn relationship thing where everything's done, by the book, and it's all done properly in ways that work for everybody and everything. And it's very orderly and businesslike. That's great, because it might be that you've already kind of got that going anyway, and that's why you've got this potential appeal here between you, Capricorn, and the significant other who totally gets it. But deep down, it's like the humanistic side of you is let's say fermenting there and starting to get these new crazy ideas of, like, well, maybe we could do this, or maybe this, or maybe that, which would be like on a serious tangent to, like, the normal Capricorn way that you would have done things. But I don't see any conflict here. Also, with the Seven of Cups here, it could be an indication that you are, let's just say, like, evolving in relationship dynamics, where you're starting to see it from a more spiritual aspect, where you're starting to bring in the divinity into the relationship by tapping into those higher frequencies that often get neglected when we're taking care of the nuts and bolts of life, getting the mortgage paid out, or the rent, or the college loans sorted out, or the car payments, or whatever it might be, where, like, the let's just say the more esoteric side of life gets neglected. On the other hand, you're a human being like anyone else, and so this needs a chance to flourish, and you might really have this, like swirling around inside you right now, and it needs expression, it needs relief, it needs manifestation. Let's have a look inside the other. Okay. However, I feel the word however here with a significant other, Capricorn. Let's say going deep down inside of them, let's say on day-to-day life, this part works really well, or you can see the potential there, they can see the potential in you, you can see the potential in them, even if you're already totally hitched up, and the idea might be you're just going to renew your vows, for example, something like that. But we go deep down, because that's the day-to-day practical aspects of an ongoing relationship pattern that you've had for whole season one. And let's just say, let's not mess with that for season two. Let's keep that going. However, for season two, still the same lead characters in the, in the show, but deep down, there's these new undercurrents that are happening. So with the significant other over here, a chosen one, they might be going through, like, their own version of a very new perspective on life, where it might not have happened. They might not have ever had the chance to tap into this side of themselves, like the spiritual aspect, the spiritual perspective, without this relationship. So it feels to me for you, Capricorn, that it's almost like the two of you are living your own version of the same thing, but it's very unique for you. It's very unique for them, because from their perspective, it's almost like deliberately allowing themselves to, like, disconnect from, or maybe they're desiring or wishing to disconnect from the existing format, like the existing foundations, to get a bigger, broader, wider spiritual perspective of the relationship, and particularly themselves. Okay. But it could be also, like, a little bit weird for them, because when the hangman energy comes up here, to me, it feels as though it's like when you get, when they are either are deliberately allowing themselves to get disoriented or placed into a new perspective of being, it's new. They might not have ever sensed this about you, Capricorn, or themselves before, but it is happening nevertheless. And my feeling is that it's happening by choice. It's almost like they're deliberately seeing the whole potential for season 2 of relating with you, Capricorn, as being a real eye-opening experience, like taking it to a whole new level, and which could be a little bit humbling in some aspects, because for the hangman to be fully expressed, it means having to deliberately like surrender to the higher perspective, the higher knowledge, the higher awareness that can only come from when like we disconnect ourselves from ourselves and allow ourselves to watch ourselves like we're watching a movie of our life. I hope that explained that well enough for you to understand. But that's not for you, Capricorn. It's more for the significant other here. So in other words, there's you deep down wishing for a new format. Let's just say, wow, I'm really looking forward to season 2, Capricorn. However that turns out in this relationship, where I could get in touch with all these like dreams and ambitions and desires and wishes that I've never really had a chance before. And your significant, a chosen one, is also thinking like, wow, I am seeing a chance to tap into new ways of being and conducting ourselves in a relationship where I feel like I'm a new person and I am seeing them as a new person in ways that have never been done before. But it's just the way you guys are coming at it is very, very different. This is more like sort of wishing and dreaming, and this feels like it's more deliberate and more observant. Okay, I hope that makes sense, because that's what I'm feeling here. I'm just using my best to try and turn it into language that makes sense to you, the viewer, the listener. So let's have a look at the core of the relationship itself here. Okay, so there's obviously something going on where maybe it's not being expressed. Maybe you, Capricorn, are holding on to things that you would like to express that are not being expressed. And maybe they are desiring things that are not having the chance to come into fruition the way they would like. So it's a bit disorienting for them. So it puts the relationship in jeopardy where at both times, okay, I'm going to really stretch it here with the Five of Cups, where both sides are realizing like what has been lost or what doesn't work or what never did work in the love relationship between you, Capricorn, and another for the whole of season 1. So in other words, let's say it's a really long-term relationship where you've got enough mileage where you realize, wow, there's this whole chapter that's done, and we missed out on this, and we missed out on that, we missed out on that, but we know a whole new chapter, a whole new season is going to unfold where we can tap into what does work. So let's tap back into the love, the simple stuff, the simple raw ingredients that you would normally have right at the very beginning of a relationship, especially if it's a good, solid, long-term relationship. So you might be kind of at this real crossroads point here, Capricorn, where you can start to feel these big shifts and changes. Well, in other words, it's like there's no point in being too sad and grievous about this, because there's still the little Two of Cups over here. Can you see that right there in the corner? However, it's very, very important for the health of the relationship going forward that both sides, both parties, almost like have a heart-to-heart, where if it's very, very hard to do this, it's when like a loving couple who've already been and loving and conducting themselves in the most honorable ways possible come to a point of centering and balance and agreement where they realize that we do need a heart-to-heart because we've both kind of like drifted off in very different directions. We're still together as a couple, but you, dear Capricorn, want this, and I, dear other significant other, want some of that. And we don't want to mess up the relationship, but it does mean that we have to have a reality check when it comes to the deepest core matters of the heart. So let's do that, because And like in a healthy relationship, you would do that. We would not be frightened about dealing with like the sorrows of what didn't work, the sadness of what didn't work, the things that you've lost perhaps. As people age and go on in time, you have regrets, you have losses like, well, we're never going to get that back again. And it's just, all you can do is cry about it. But that's important. It's important that this comes to the surface because it actually can be a very loving, bonding way of bringing, people back together again when you face any issue of grief together and you deal with it and you accept it and you allow it to flow, because you definitely do not want to bury this. If you start, seeing season 2 of Capricorn opening up, but it was not conclusive. Let's say there was a lot of baggage or leftover grief or strife in season 1 that's lingering like a massive hangover into season 2, then it would be important for that hangover to be addressed in season 2 so it doesn't, linger for the rest of one's life. And so a core theme moving forward might be to do with like a reckoning at the very deepest heart levels, a reckoning between yourself, Capricorn, and a significant other about the loving aspects of the relationship that might have been neglected for a long time in order to take care of the functional, three-dimensional, day-to-day aspects of a relationship. That's how I'm feeling it. Okay, this is not a disaster here. Okay, it's just coming to the surface. It's the nature of where things are right now. In other words, it could be a very loving couple who are holding each other very tightly and crying on each other's shoulders as they realize how much they love each other, how much they've been through, how much they care, how certain things didn't work, but that the love is still there. You still got the little 2 of Cups. So where does this take us? Okay, this takes us into the beauty. This is what I see. Oh my gosh, Capricorn. This is what I see. I see it takes you into the beauty and the mystery of the relationship itself, the beauties and mysteries of love that I'm sorry, Capricorn, I got a little mushy there. It really caught me by surprise. Sorry. What I'm feeling for you, Capricorn, is just like stumbling on. You know how you get so, excuse me, you can get so wrapped up in the day-to-day aspects of life to get things to work that the mystery and the beauty, it is either ignored or forgotten or just ends up being like non-existent because it's just, you don't deal with that stuff. However, it could be that you've got a chance right now, especially if you think of this as a long-term thing, we're in the context of a very loving, healthy relationship. By allowing, let's say, the deep heart energy to flow in ways that you've never dared to do before, it actually opens up the heart like never before, where you can understand the beauty and the mystery of relationships and how they unfold, and how like you think you've got it all figured out, and then you start a whole new season and a whole new chapter where there's so much more to learn, there's so much more to life, where there's so much more of this than you ever knew before. It's just that you didn't even know until you had got to this point, and you would never have known unless you had hung in to this point. Okay, I need to stop talking now because I'm going to mess up. I'm sorry. I brought my own feelings into this, but it really caught me off guard when I saw this here. So please make the best of this, Capricorn. Please reinterpret to suit yourself. Watch your sun, moon, and rising. Thank you very much for picking Illumination. Bye-bye, and all the best through November. Bye-bye.